real estate investor. I don't know if I'd call myself a real estate investor. Maybe I started off as a real estate investor. I'm a father of five and someone who came from tough beginnings, born and raised in Los Angeles, California. Now I'm in the startup phase of running a corporate housing company, working with displaced families and insurance um, companies. I didn't go to college for any of these things, guys. Just to be clear with you guys, I'm probably one of the biggest failures in life. I failed a lot. And also with those failures, I think that's the reason why I'm here. That's the reason why I'm able to cross the finish line or achieve what I want to achieve, because the fear of failure, although it's there, I wouldn't say it holds me back. I've changed the definition of fear of failure into, at least the use of it, into fuel. Now I get to coach alongside with Jesse Vasquez in AirVenture Academy, where we help folks like you guys, get into the midterm rental space and accelerate their experience along the way. So avoiding all the guesswork around the coaches, around the community. We've seen a lot of folks rise in our community through our program. So if you guys got any questions or anything like that, just shoot me a DM and I'll try to help you guys out. But for now, before we get started, actually, before we dive into Q&A, let me pull this up. I just want to remind some of y'all how we move around here. We keep it very simple. No fluff. We stay coachable. We're teachable, and we share the knowledge, the game, the the failures that we've went through, so you don't have to. Right? Sharing the game that we wish someone shared with us when we first started. So all we ask for you guys to do in exchange is every week, every time you guys are getting value or you find us entertaining, maybe. Some of you guys have been messaging us saying that we're funny dudes. We're just regular dudes, tell you the truth. Just regular dudes who has a strong winning attitude. But all we ask for you guys is share this live stream, share the show. If you got any value, if you feel like it's helped you, there's someone out there that we could possibly help. So, keeping any information to yourself is essentially a disservice, right, to the world. So go out and share the show, and just continuously, show up. Be consistent when you show up, right? Whether it's live or if you have to catch it on replay, just stay close because we're always giving you updates on the latest trends, what's happening to the market, any recent failures that you guys can skip over, any failures that we've experienced, or wins, any hacks or strategies or tools to apply. Also, ask questions. Ask tons of questions. There's no dumb questions. There's no shaming or anything like that. This is all for learners. And again, send it to someone, share it to someone so we could keep moving, keep growing, keep helping people. Alrighty. So let's get into some Q&A. Let me go on the Facebook group. Let's see if we got any Q&A here. Let's see. Go in the chat. How do you go about furnishing a midterm rental? Well, that's a solid question actually. That's a really good question. So, not like how it was back in the day of furnished rentals, or at least when I started early 2019, 2020, um, you could get away with anything. You could get away with grandma's furniture almost. You could get away with photos from your phone with a goofy angle, and you'll make a decent spread, pretty decent spread. Launch your unit quick. Um, but that bubble has popped. So design is definitely important. You got to be extra mindful, specifically in midterm rentals, because we're serving slightly different clients, not like your traditional Airbnb, short term stay, Palm Springs, LED lights, neon lights everywhere. That's not how we typically dress up our properties. You got to think, um, who are the clients that you'll be serving, right? There's a lot of different sectors, different industries folks tap into, right? There, we started with travel nurses. That was huge, 2020, and a lot of the amenities that we would provide are related to these medical professionals, right? To catch their attention, to show that, okay, I'll be comfortable during this work assignment. Blackout curtains, for example, small little detail, but makes a huge difference for your target client. Um, Another one, small little details like if you're serving construction, right? In the beginning, I served a lot of construction crews. I used to work in construction. That's how I got into real estate, actually. I I got injured, and then my career ended and didn't know what to do. Now I'm here with you guys 5 years later. So, anyways, construction crew, boot warmers. People doesn't see the power in that, but since I used to work in construction in the rain, in the snow, our boots would be wet and we got to work the next day, right? We're out on the field for, 10, 12 hours. We need to get our boots freshened up. So having a simple boot warmer, if that's who you're targeting, construction crews, right? That's something you got to be mindful on. And a little outside of design is, if you're working with construction crews, parking. That's another one. A lot of folks tend to forget about parking. So work trucks, they have pretty big, hefty work trucks, and you want to make sure there's enough room for those guys to fit their vehicles in there. But as far as design, you're going to want to target, first identify who's your client. That's the first thing you want to do. Last thing you want to do is go put a ton of money in your design and you all you hear is crickets, right? Maybe you envision to house travel nurses because there's literally a hospital down the street, but there's no travel nurses coming in, right? You bought everything that's medical professional approved, but you're still not getting any bites. What could be the problem there? We haven't identified our target client, right? Maybe we heard it from a YouTube or from some another MTR operator that they're serving travel nurses with their midterm rental units, and you thought that it was cut and paste for your market, which isn't essentially true. Because what happens if that hospital no longer seeks for traveling professionals? Let's just say, right? One way to find out is pick up the phone and call, have a conversation with a case manager, with some nurses that works there, right? Or other medical professionals that works there. Ask around, ask the education department in the hospital. That's another one. Um, so you could get the insights for if this is even going to be your main client. Jesse says this all the time. You want to think about your clients as a pie chart, right? Depending what market you're in, that's going to shift, right? If you're like in Cleveland, Hospital Central, or Houston as well, right? Tons of hospitals, you know that you'll be at least at a 30% of serving traveling medical professionals. Versus if you go to like a suburb town that just has one hospital and it's not even a trauma hospital, that's probably going to be 5%, 10%. The only way you can really know is by picking up the phone. So we do our data analysis, right? Whether you use Price Labs, AirDNA, there's tons of tools out there, MashVisor. Um, so those are the online data, the free information that we could get, right? And then you get data from actual people, boots on the ground, or operators in the atmosphere, in the town. You can ask them for their experience, for their data, who's their typical client as well, right? And then the last one, picking up the phone, lead gen, that B2B strategy, that's going to be super key in midterm rentals. That's the separator. It's not midterm rentals. It is absolutely not a set and forget. list it on Furnish Finder, list it on Airbnb, and hope for the best. Absolutely not. And you got to lead gen. You got to do the outreach. So let's go to the next question. Let's see what we got. Lupe. Lupe, yes. Lupe wants to join us. Come on, Lupe, join us. Let me see if you're already in here, maybe. Check. I think Lupe got a couple questions. There's the link, Lupe. Sorry, I'm solo dolo. My two partners, Dylan is out sick, or actually his baby boy is. And Mr. Jesse Vasquez is traveling. Congrats to Grace. Congrats to Grace for graduating. All right, Lupe, I just sent you, I don't know if you should be able to hear me. I just sent you the link to hop on in for some Q&A. And let's see what we got, brother. All right. In the meantime, in between time, while we're waiting for Lupe to tap in, make sure he got the link. He did. Okay, cool. Back on the design part, let's see. You want to be mindful on your costs as well. Sometimes we'll get tunnel vision, especially if you got a knack for design, it just sparks you. You might go overboard with design, right? Whether overboard on too sparkly, flashy LED lights, fur rugs on the wall or whatever. You want to think, can I picture myself living here for 3 months? Can I picture myself living here for a year if my house were to burn down, right? Because those are going to be most of your clients, either traveling professionals or more on the insurance side, right? Now, there's other markets or industries that you could tap into as well, like Amazon, one of our very own, Christine. She was essentially the first person to lock up a contract with Amazon, and she's just snowballing. She's building a strong relationship with them. She identified the problem, the need, and she created a solution, right? So you're going to want to do the same thing with your design before getting the product. Market analysis is going to be super key. It's not just your comps, what your comps are doing, but who can you potentially serve in the market, right? Is it a high insurance claim market? Is it a high travel trend, right? Lots of different industries traveling in, maybe tech industry, hospital central, like I mentioned earlier. So those are going to be all going to be tied into your design. Don't go cheap on design or furniture. However, don't go overboard as far as, pictures on the walls and all that stuff. Don't have empty walls. But I just seen people waste too much, and then they're waiting for their ROI is much lower. Right. So you're going to want to stay in the ranges of anywhere from $11 to $15 per square foot. 15 more on the uh, luxury side, right? Obviously, if you go lower, $9, $10 per square foot, even better on your return on your initial costs to launch the unit. But yeah. All righty. Let's see where you at, Lupe, if you're in the waiting room. I don't think so. Reset this to Lupe. Okay, I think he's trying to get in now. Alrighty, well, Lupe, I don't think you're gonna make it in. Going once, going twice. All right, we'll move on. Let's go look for some questions in our public Facebook group, the Midterm Rental Model with Jesse Vasquez. I don't know why I always say his name like Midterm Mondays. Maybe I was supposed to be that guy. Like, like the intros for the movies like Transformers at a time when humanity needed you the most. All right, let's see what type of questions you guys got. Virginia folks. Dario's looking for some Virginia folks to link up. All right, let's see if this is a good question right here. Julia Roberts, that's a cool name. Julia Roberts said, curious to learn what type of tenants stay other than MTR operators are getting the most of right now. Let me reread that question. I'm sorry, Julia. I didn't graduate high school. Curious to learn what type of tenant stays other than other MTR operators are getting the most right now. Okay, I think I'm picking up what you're laying down. You're asking what type of other clients are we seeing? We constantly get two main types: insurance claims and families relocating to our city before purchasing their home. Yep, that's right. We have 5 single family homes that are pet friendly. So this is no surprise, but wondering what other folks are expecting. This one's really good, Julia. So, yeah, you're about right. That's usually the main one. I think I said that earlier. Um, Insurance claims displace families and traveling professionals, or in this case, you have families that's relocating. I actually see that a lot in my town as well. I live in Arizona, guys, north of Arizona, and I do see a lot of folks. I was one when we traveled here from, moved here, relocated from LA to Arizona. We stayed in a midterm while our home closed, but that's a big one. So you're going to want to get connected with real estate agents, right? Because typically that's the first contact that folks that are relocating to your town, they're looking for real estate agents. So you want to be known as the MTR. Julia Roberts is the MTR gal in that market, in that town. She's a go-to, right? So whenever they're looking for a home, agent's gonna refer to you. Just think of it like that. And then part of your other question is, we have 5 single family, perfect, no surprise, but wonder what folks experience. Oh, yep, that's pretty much your question. Yeah, it's totally different. There's some folks that serves just insurance claims. So like in the beginning, you're kind of like seeing what will stick in the wall, right? Because you really don't know until you're there live. Your unit is launched, experienced it, right? At least a year, too. Your first year is like where you're learning, you're getting comfortable. If you're in a new market or if you're a new operator, you're building those muscles, right, on how to operate. And then you're also seeing the data, what type of folks you're serving, right? So you're going to want to keep track of all of those things. Peter Drucker said, what doesn't get tracked doesn't get measured. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Thanks for that question, Julia. Let me see. Um, okay, we got some more questions here. Alex, not sure if you can view my message from YouTube. I'm ready to begin. Okay, this is from Alex. Let me share this. If you guys can see it, not sure if you can view my message from YouTube. I'm ready to begin construction on an ADU. Where can I educate myself on how to negotiate with, I'm sorry, with a licensed contractor? Where can I educate myself on how to negotiate with a license? What are you essentially trying to negotiate? Right? Obviously, it's a deal. Is it a money? Is it a project? Is it a timeline? Is it a service? Um, I think when you come to negotiating, it always has to be positioned to um, the person's wants and needs or their pain points, if anything, right? And then how what you're giving in exchange or negotiating with is going to be of value to them. There has to be a reason why you're negotiating. It can't just be give me a good deal, right? Like it's not motivating, right? So identify the pain points, identify the need or what you're giving in exchange, why it's a value, right? Let's see. Cost of construction. I hear you, Alex. Well, you're going to want to figure out like what is the average, what's the average in that market, in that town to, I'm guessing for an ADU. Where are you, Alex? Are you in LA? Probably in LA, I feel like maybe SoCal. But you're going to want to comp it out, right? And then ask for a reason like, okay, well, these are the comp prices of an ADU and you're marked up at 10,000. You could ask them why. That's part of the negotiation, right? You're trying to get clarity. And you're not going to approach them in a sense of this is turning into a coaching. Um, you're not going to approach them in a sense of, you know, that pressure, like, oh, give me a discount, your price is too high. No, you're actually, oh, down and downy, cool. I played Pop Warner football out there. You're going to want to, understand why they're priced that way and explain how come you can't make that pricing, right? Do you need $10,000 off on the deal or what have you? 20K off the deal, whatever dollar amount it is, or maybe timeline. That's right, you put cost of construction. You're going to want to ask them, like, how does this justify, right? Versus next company that builds ADUs, they could get it done in, 5 months instead of 8 months, what have you, right? Which is not true because Los Angeles permits takes forever. But and as far as negotiating, I don't know if you've heard of the book Never Split the Difference. That one's gold. It's more of a I like it on Audible. I don't do Audible a lot. I force myself to read, um, but Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss on Audible is gold because it's almost like a movie, like a storytelling type. But you get examples there, like clear examples of why he negotiated a certain way. He's a FBI negotiate. He used to be a negotiator, but yeah, he's definitely a big dog. Check that out. When's the launch for your or when you're expecting to have your ADU? What's the goal for it to be launched? I know we're still trying to figure out costs and all that, but you got to have something, right? A year from now, 8 months from now. And what's the size of it as well? I got a lot of questions, Alex. You got to set up a call with me, man. This is exciting stuff. Who's your target client? Is this your first MTR? So many questions. And the reason why I ask a lot of questions is because not everyone is always going to be cut and paste solutions, right? Or guidance or steps, because everyone has different goals. Everyone has different pain tolerance, experience, all of that stuff, right? So in the beginning, we're looking for alignment. That's what we want that. So we got to ask a lot of questions. And that's why you'll hear me asking folks questions, just to make sure that, what you're saying, what you want are aligned to the end game or the bigger goal, right? Are you actually headed towards that way? Because the last thing you want is to be going down a route and then you're finally there and you realize you were going the wrong way the whole time, right? Let's see, Priscilla. But yeah, Alex, I'll try to help you out. Give you a call, man. Set up a call with us. Go on airventureacademy.com to book some time. See, Priscilla said, I have a travel nurse at my current MTR. Yes. When you have your client, I'm just going to pause some gem drops here. Don't kick your feet up. It's not time to relax. I know it was, took a long time to get here to dress up your property and all that stuff. And now it's booked. And a lot of us, this has happened to me, are like, all right, whew, time to chill, kick the feet up. No, absolutely not. We're not chilling or kicking our feet up. Essentially, for the first Probably 3 years, if I'm being brutally honest with you guys, right? But again, it depends on what your goals are, right? If you're just trying to have one unit and just pay for itself, then it's going to be my guidance and coaching is going to be a lot different versus someone who's saying, I want to retire my parents, I want to have passive income, generational wealth. And there's going to be a lot of work, and it's going to be more than just the MTR strategy. But and see, so lead gen, you have a current nurse, lead gen. I mean, nurture that relationship. Hopefully, you have the recruiter's um, contact already by now. If not, you can still go and get that, and just position your business, your company, your property, your units as a service. Right? How you could be of service to that travel nurse company. Um, let's see the next one. She violated the lease. Oh, this took a turn. Sorry, I'm not laughing at you. She violated the lease because she had an unauthorized pet at the property. Okay. I advised her about the violation and that there would be a fine. She refused to pay. What's the next steps would you suggest? If she refused to pay, then you would take them to small claims. That's really what it is. Right. So, um, lots of questions again, same thing like with Alex. Were you able to vet the client clearly and thoroughly before coming in? Um, when was the pet? When did the pet arrive? Was it the same day as move-in day? Was she sneaky about it? Um, well, all those little things we got to be mindful of before it even happens, right? So we got to have a thorough vetting process. And I know how it feels, right? Like you feel like you probably, well, I'll say how I feel, how I would feel if I was there. I would feel disrespected. I would feel, yeah, that would be the word. Like this person didn't care. I extended myself. I gave, top tier quality service and communication. However, you know, they still broke the rules, right? So it hurts. It definitely does. It'll bother you, but you got to keep moving. Keep moving. Don't pick your battles. All right. So you have two choices here. Either take them to small claims, which is how much is that going to be? All right. How much can you potentially win when you take them to small claims? What's that fine are you going to charge them? Are you going to charge them $500 for bringing the pet, $2,000? It also depends on the dollar amount as well. Right? If it's 500 bucks, I'd say just let it go. 100% let it go. If they damage, furniture and all that stuff, then that's a whole different conversation. We do need, you know, we need to keep moving forward. Either find a different way where they could pay you back or take them to small claims. I'm trying to avoid small claims as much as possible because you got to think about the time that it's going to tax you. Is the juice worth the squeeze? I can't tell you how many times I've failed at things building this, thinking I had the one, thinking I had the right guess and everything was good. And I got too comfortable in my process and I kicked my feet up or I got complacent, right? But those moments are good. It's it's really good that these things happen for us because it's not that we're bad. It's not that we don't care. It's just that we're not experienced. We don't know what we don't know. So we need to accept the fact that if we're moving based on we don't know what we don't know or very little information, you need to know, I mean, expect that there's going to be more failures, right? Failures aren't bad as long as they're not, neglectful, senseless, mindless failures, positive failures. But you're going to have these failures that's going to shape you, shape your business, shape your SOP. So the next time around, you already have something in place. So basically, what I'm saying is try to look at this as a positive, so it doesn't bring you down as much. And then just make a choice. If I take this person to small claims, it could take months. I got to think about it. I got to fill this out. I got to call when you could be working on your business, right? Filling other contracts out, making other lead gen phone calls to new corporate companies that you could potentially help. Does that make sense? So depends on your specific situation. If there's damage in your furniture, then of course, right? If you have a security deposit, right, which I hope you do, you could deduct it from the security deposit. It's justifiable, right? As long as you have, I'm sure you have a Ring doorbell camera or some security camera facing outside the home, where it showed the pet, entered the home and stayed there for a couple of days. Um, but yeah, I would say that. I'd say another thing is, if I guess another question would be, is your home completely zero tolerance, no pets, or is just this time the the client, the tenant, the guest, um, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the only time when they didn't have pets, and for some reason they have pets and they lied because they tried to skip out maybe on your pet fee. So a little more details from me so I could give you a better guidance. So that's I'm giving you different answers. Um, if that's the case and you do allow pets, I would for sure let it go. Just deduct it from the security deposit. Or if you want to make it into a positive, so it's not a bad taste in their mouth as well, because they're going to tell their friends, their other travel nurses, right? When they come into that town, they may. What if they tell the HR person or the case manager, whoever at the hospital they're contracted in, hey, I'm staying at this place. Make sure you tell all travel nurses to not stay in this place. Like he or she could do that, right? So another approach is, you can meet in the middle, right? If you have a pet fee, and normally, let's just say arbitrary number, it's $100 or $75 a month, right? And they're not trying to pay that. Maybe wiggle it down to $50 a month and just let them know, like, look, this is not even for me to make money. This is just really for me to do a deep clean because, right? Because our deep cleaning after a pet is $500 or $600 or what have you, right? Justification. You don't got to over explain yourself, but when you identify why you're saying what you're saying, or you're negotiating what you're negotiating, presenting what you're presenting, there has to be a reason, right? And you don't have to explain that part. You just have to know it. So when you speak it, when you present it, there's conviction, right? People know that you have that understanding, and people know that you want what you want, or you're asking for what you need. But yeah, those are a couple different answers. Hopefully that helped. I know it's kind of all over the place, but yeah, that's why I need just more details. That's why hop on a call. I feel like I spoke with you already, Priscilla. I feel like I did. Alex said it's his first MTR. Giant size. Okay. Nice. Let's get it, Alex. That's so dope, man. I love it. Lisa, if we join the community, is there a chance to review a specific property to see if it would be for a good fit? Okay. Yeah, that's what we do. Actually, last week I released the 2.0 or updated version of our MTR calculator, making it much easier. It was already easy to use, but making it much more easier to use, where it's really plug and play. Um, Now that I'm getting better with ChatGPT, yes, I'm the last one to use that. I know, I know. Um, I'm able to improve the calculator. So yeah, we do market analysis in the program all the time. That's the main thing, especially in my specific coaching class. It's always about running numbers, market analysis. That's like the main tool you need to master. I think in every real estate investing, but you really got to master it. And when you do, months later, like if you just zoom out, right? If you master market analysis and running numbers and comping properties and all that, which is totally different lenses when you're doing STR or LTR, or even if you're in fix and flip or creative finance, like I've seen other folks run numbers and it's just off. Um, but when you master running the numbers and you zoom out of your home, your portfolio, your business, you'll see that you can start building an ecosystem, other related businesses within MTR, right? And then you'll see that a lot in the community. You see folks building extra legs, extra streams of income, which are not super, how do you say this? Like design is a perfect example, right? We get folks who comes in who loves design. That's their thing. That's their spark. That's their joy. And they see MTR as their ticket out. They got one, two properties, right? and then they build out to three. Everyone starts knowing them in their town. They're going to meetups. They love their property. Who designed it? Well, I did. Well, another investor will eventually ask, right? Hey, can you design my property? Or how much do I need to spend? Should I spend? Right? And that all started with your market analysis, with running numbers, comping properly. So we go heavy in that in our class. And we provide you the calculators as well. Let's see, Priscilla, yep, did background check. Okay, solid. Pet arrived a month in. She acknowledged she was dog sitting for a coworker. Okay. Is it worth paying AL? Oh no, that's it. She acknowledged she was dog sitting for a coworker. Okay, but that's yeah. Um, I understand. I'm doing for a coworker. Yeah, but that's not in the contract, right? Um, so I would respond back, Priscilla. I would respond back with like, "This is why we need this." Right? It's not because I'm trying to be vindictive or retaliatory or anything like that. Right? These are all justified. The numbers are justified, and you have to justify the numbers, even if you take out security deposit. Right? If they go past utility bill, right? They go past the utility cap. You still got to justify it. It's not like we could just, you know, take the security deposit. We got to provide receipts, right? The utility bill. So I think just as long as you justify it without begging and just educating more, um, folks tend to be more collaborative in working with you. Um, but at the end of the day, you have security deposit, broke the law, broke the rules, the contract. You should be able to deduct that. I'm not sure what state you're in. Can't see your picture. It's kind of small, but if you're the same Priscilla I'm talking to, you might be in SoCal or in California. All right, let's see. Last question right here, guys. Dean, are corporate clients less risk? Ideally, yeah. Ideally. Because if you're working with, you know, a traveling professional, right? IT, let's just say, or engineer, right? Their company is representing them, right? Is that the case all the time? No. We were just talking to Priscilla, and it sounded like it was, which majority of the time for travel nurses, it's direct. The actual travel nurse will contact the operator to rent the property, unless you've already established a relationship with like Aya Healthcare, right? With a recruiter, it'll be slightly different. But for corporate clients, absolutely, that's why folks tend to go with them more. And same thing for insurance, right? They have the corporate client is the insurance company, and they have their policyholder, the displaced family, right? So there's layers of protection there. Let's see. Kay said, also found out ALE prefers unfurnished for sure now. Yeah, I talked about it before, and it seems it's the way forward. That kills trying to. Yep, that's true. One tip I learned: don't let ALE pay you in advance for January, or you'll pay taxes on. That is true. I learned that. It actually happened to me. I think my first year. I remember something like that. Let's see. Priscilla, it is pet friendly. Okay, so Priscilla, it is pet friendly. I'm a little late, guys. Yes, totally tried being nice, unauthorized, but she was completely difficult and said she demanded to pay less in June. Yes, I'm okay. Got you. Well, I wouldn't stress on it too much. You have the conversation already as proof, right? It's in your contract, no pets on this specific contract with this travel nurse. So you should be able to deduct the that portion of security deposit. I would align it very close to what your rates are now, not just like, oh, I'm just going to charge them $5,000, right? That's going to get us in trouble. Just as long as you can justify it. The only main thing I would say is I'm concerned about is obviously the pet uh, damaging the property, right? I guess I got more questions for you, Priscilla. Like, how long have they been there, right? Have they been there less than 30 days? I think you said they brought it in a month later, watching a friend, which is crazy because they're like making it your problem, you know. I'm sure you would have worked with them, and the fact that your property is pet friendly, I'm sure you would have worked with them. I'm sure you would have, right? Even if you had to lower your rate slightly just to make it work, right? Yeah. Let's see. Any final questions before I let you guys go? Let's see what we got. Is there anything here on Facebook? All righty, guys. So before we wrap, here's your homework. Pick one thing you learned today and go take action. If you guys already forgot, maybe press replay. I'll give you a quick rundown. Pick up the phone. Too many of us get stuck on analysis paralysis and think we're doing the thing by using the data tools, Googling it, chat GPTing the answers, and we feel like we're moving. You're not moving until you speak to a human, until you speak to the HR person, to the employee, right? To the relocation specialist, to the realtor, to the other operator down the street, right? For some data insights or some potential partnership or B2Bs in the future. So pick up the phone. That's one of the action steps I would want you guys, I encourage you guys to do. Um, and identify your target client. Have a list. Have a list of target clients, and it can change different markets. Just because you heard Joe Schmo do travel nurses and that's all they serve, doesn't mean it's going to work for you exactly how it is on that market. So the bones, the blueprint is the same. The lead gen, right? The way we position our company, the setup of the property, right? The system. Those are fairly similar, right? But the terminology starts to change when we're working with different industries, construction crews. I think I say this a million times, but this is just so gold. If you're reaching out to construction crews, safety. Maybe I'll go a little deeper on that next week. But they love safety talk, especially if you're talking to the project manager, the foreman, and the safety guy. Which I don't think you'd be talking to the safety guy, but even the HR person. Safety, right? And I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. You're just like, what do you mean safety? How can I use that? Right. Well, when you're calling construction companies and you're trying to house them in your 5 bedroom house, because it does make sense versus staying in a motel or hotel, how's that a benefit to the construction company? Well, the benefit is accountability in the crew, in the construction crew, right? These guys have been on the road for 2, 3 months. They haven't seen their family. A bunch of guys swinging hammers. They tend to get tense and emotional and depression. So being alone in a motel, being on the road, being on the field working 10 hours straight, it can get to you. How do I know? Because that happened to me, right? And then that's going to affect the way you work, meaning you're a hazard or you're a hazard to somebody else, right? But if we house the construction crew in the same home under one roof, there's accountability, right? No one's getting too drunk or going somewhere where they're not supposed to be going, right? Not staying up too late because we got a big project tomorrow. That brings safety into the job. And with safety into the job, meaning no injuries, no liabilities, completing the project much sooner. And most of the times when they finish the project much sooner, they get bonuses. So everyone likes bonuses, right? So you're hitting a grand slam right there. So that's why it makes sense for them to stay in one home. Safety. So apply, guys. Apply. Take action. Small steps compound. Remember that, but only if you take them. You can watch all these videos, get all the books. We could do all that stuff. But unless we don't, right, do the action, take the step, apply, we won't know. And don't be afraid of failure either. Positive failures, right? You don't know what you don't know. You're learning, you're new. It's going to happen. Be forgiving to yourself, right? Now you just got to ask yourself the questions. How many failures am I going to allow myself to make until I get to where I want to get? Right? Is it a time thing? Is it a money thing? You got to think about those things. Because there's a lot of free content out there. Jesse obviously has essentially given the entire playbook, right, to help us all out. And I know it helped me out when I first started, but when I got stuck, I was like, all right, there's still something else that I'm missing, and it's community. That's really it. The community and the coaching, right? The guidance, making sure I'm not alone in this game going crazy and I'm going down the right road. Someone realigning me, the accountability part. So if you guys need help long term and you're tired of doing it alone, you're tired of those late nights with those brain racking questions, you've Googled it, you chat GPT it, and you just don't feel like that's the answer, you already know where to go. We got a full tribe inside AirVenture Academy where I am fortunate, extremely grateful to be in a position where I get to coach other folks because I know what it's like getting started, being lost, not knowing a single terminology or formula or how to do anything, right? Customer service, right? The B2B side, lead gen, I was completely lost. So I'm in a good position, and I would love to share my experiences with you guys so you don't have to bang your head for no reason. But no pressure. There's absolutely no pressure. You guys know when you're ready. Leave you guys off with a quote. You know, I like to do this a lot. You don't get the life you dream of. You get the life you're disciplined enough to build. I'm Don Dela Cruz. I appreciate your time, your energy, your commitment. Stay disciplined. Now go apply what you learned. Share the show, please, guys, and bring back your experience next week. I'd love to see the same folks that tapped in, helping me out today with Q&A. Hopefully I was able to help you guys out. If not, there's some more details. Set up a call. I'll try to help you guys out some more. But go ahead and go apply. And like I always say, we're just getting started. See you next Monday, y'all.